my God!
Learning to jump is kind of a big deal. Leaving the security of the earth for even a moment to float through the air like a graceful potato is a daunting proposition, especially considering the volume of dead sailors that just seem to spontaneously pop into existence up there. Until a study is completed on how potatoes can sail the high seas without losing their grasp on life, we should probably figure out how to remain in the land of the living spuds. Dead sailor. Well, this is definitely one of the stranger terms used in the lexicon of mountain bicycle lingo. Dead, an adjective meaning deceased, past, no longer of this earth and deprived of life. Sailor, a noun meaning someone whose occupation is sailing. I wouldn't say the intended meaning is clear here, but there are a few we can explore. As a dead sailor is often a precursor to a crash, we could assume the use of dead to be an exaggeration of the potential outcome. More than a few dead sailor videos have been reacted to with the phrase, "Oh, he dead!" But this flexible adjective preceding the noun sailor steers the listener into a more specific line of thinking. There are darker lines of thinking here, but I'll leave them to your own imagination rather than demonetizing this fun educational video. I like to think of the rider floating into the air as the captain of their bicycle ship, bravely venturing out to sail the unknown seas and discover new lands. Unfortunately, they have made a grave error while embarking on this epic journey, run aground while still in the harbour. The ship is now sinking, and the only honourable thing for them to do is to resolutely go down with the ship. No bailing overboard, no frantically trying to save the situation. Just standing straight to attention, holding firmly onto the controls and accepting their fate as it comes to meet them. But why does it happen? So we know what it is, but why does this absolutely terrifying mistake happen? Rendell, off the desk. Get down.
Watch this.
Down. Oh, fair play. That was a nice flip. Accidental rotations in the yaw, pitch, or roll axis don't normally begin when already in the air, unless there's an outside force acting on the bike when you are in the air. So when there's air resistance and the bike body system's flying through the air, you have to look at where the center of mass is, and it's usually kind of around about there. And you can see that center of mass is higher up in the bike body system. And wind resistance acts against the direction of travel, and as there's more surface area below that center of mass, it will decelerate the lower center of mass more, causing a forward pitch. It's going to make you nosedive. The speed needs to be super high to increase relative air resistance, and the time in the air needs to be really long for this rotation to have a big effect on the mortality of this seaman. So it's unlikely you will experience this. A more common air-related perished yachtsman is caused by the wind. It's one of the worst feelings ever, getting caught up in a gusty send.
Whoa, Batman!
And you can see from the side that the bike actually makes up a lot of the surface area, and the center of mass is above the main kind of like surface area of this bike rider system. So if you get a bit of side wind coming in from the side, that's from the side, not below. Just trust me. It'll push that surface area and cause a roll, which is just, no, rolling when you're in the air is never good. And it'll just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger until your wheels touch down. And if the angle is too high,
Whoa, Batman!
ow. The more common slain seafarer is due to an incorrect or misjudged jumping technique, and it can be broken down into two main types: an accidental yaw or an accidental pitch, or sometimes both at the same time. Accidental yaw is most often caused by an aggressive and incorrect popping technique where the rider just compresses the front and back at the exact same time and effectively just bounces the bike into the air. And it's easy to be slightly imbalanced when bouncing on the bars, and it causes just a slight steering input, which initiates a yaw that increases for as long as you are airborne. No yaws. I don't want to see any yaws unless you're doing a whip. And then you got to watch a different video for that. This is the wrong video for intentional yaws. Yo dude, you see that sick yaw?
Did you see my intentional yaw?
That was 90 degrees of yaw!
Bro, you coming to watch the yaw off? The yaw off.
Here we go, folks. It's the international intentional yaw off. That's right, these yaws are 100% intentional. You won't believe the degree of yaws out here. Oh, he yawed the whole way.
This drawing is getting super busy. The fore-aft imbalance in loading is a lot harder to understand, but please allow me to oversimplify to get the point across. If you push a riderless bike up a takeoff, up a takeoff, the front wheel will take off at the angle of the jump. And as soon as it is in the air and unsupported, gravity will act upon it, decelerating it downwards. While this is happening to the front wheel, the back wheel is still on the takeoff and having some of its horizontal velocity converted into vertical. This vertical upward acceleration acting on the rear wheel, really acting on it, is going to send it into the air at the angle of the jump, while at the same time, gravity is decelerating the front wheel down, which is going to cause a downward pitch of the full bike system. The sharper the change in angle of the jump, the more vertical acceleration is added to the back wheel, causing more forward rotation. Kicky jumps cause nosedives, right? Yeah, we've all done it. Then, let's add a rider to the mix. So we get a lanky boy in here. Look at that, he's got the limbs for it. Nice. So we add a rider to the mix. The rider can influence the takeoff angle of each individual wheel by using their greater mass to control the takeoff angle of the front and back wheels individually. And they do that by absorbing the lip of the jump with the arms to reduce the takeoff angle of the front wheel, or they use their legs to reduce the takeoff angle of the back wheel. They can also push the weight back on the lip to increase the takeoff angle of the front wheel, and they can stand and press through the legs to increase the takeoff angle of the rear wheel. If a rider absorbs too much with the arms and not the legs, you get a downward pitch. If they absorb too much with the legs, upward pitch. Push back too much with the arms, upward pitch. And then pop too much through the legs, downward pitch. You can also just absolutely brain fart, crumple into the jump, which usually equates to absorbing too much with the arms and not enough with the legs as you run out of space. And then you pitch down like a plane that's seen a penny. What? All of these will cause a rotation that will immediately set off alarm bells in your brain and engage the deadest of sailors. Now let's wipe the board and analyze some viewer submissions. Wipe. So let's have a watch through. So that is a big jump. That is a big jump. Let's, oh my God. Yep, that was a downward pitch on that one. That one was a very, very dead boat, man. So yeah, if we watch as he comes up the takeoff, he hits it and he's coming in quick. It's a big jump. It's got a big radius, not a big radius, it's got quite a sharp lip. You know, there's a lot of G forces being generated. And if you've not done a jump this big before, it's really hard to predict how hard they're going to be, how hard you're going to have to push against them. He predicted wrong because he crumples. He gets dragged down into the bike, and you can see at the lip, if I move forward, he is in the bike. He is fully, I mean, look at this guy. His bars are like touching. They're touching his chest, man. That's insane. So he's like fully in the bike and he'll be like desperately trying to resist, trying to stop himself from crumpling into the bike. And what that does is it'll just load the back wheel up at the lip of the jump. And then that back wheel is just gonna get pop, mad pop. And that means forward rotation. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's so high. Look at him. Look at him up here. He's up there. No. So you can see here, there he is. Yep. And he's there, and there's his head and his eyes. And if you look at the eyes, they have crosses, which means dead. Dead boatman. That's a good drawing. That is a good drawing. That would go in the fridge. Absolutely dead, rigid in the air, sailing forward, forward rotation. Mate, what a crash. What he needs to do is, one, don't crumple. And to do that, you need to push against the G-forces generated by the jump in an equal way. But if you don't know how many or what those G-forces are going to feel like, it's really hard to know what to do. And also, clearly this is first time doing the jump. So when it's the first time doing a jump, you maybe don't want to boost it super high. So you would push against the forces of the jump, hold yourself tall, and then try and absorb the lip to have that lower trajectory, not as high in the air, less air time, less chance of a rotation happening, less chance of getting caught in a crosswind. You know, lower trajectory is usually a little bit safer. But yeah, you can't just know how to resist those G-forces or how hard they're going to be, so you have to build up slowly, because, I mean, that's a big jump. I would be scared to do that jump. Like, damn. So I noticed there's other jumps in the area, so I'm hoping he tried the other ones first and got a feel for it, but big jumps are scary. They are hard to prepare for if there's not other ones that you can practice, and requires a bit of a leap of faith. And his faith failed him. His God left him, unfortunately. Next one. Let's watch what happens. Comes around the corner. Oh, cheeky little pop over the crest, but goes squint immediately. So this is a classic bad popping technique, and he just does the bouncing off the bars. And you can see on the takeoff, it's just a tiny, tiny steering input, but it's enough that it pitches him squint. So it's like a slight rightward turn in the lip, and then he ends up squint in the air. And you can see as he's coming into land, it's just, oh dear. Has his foot come off? It's quite hard to see in the quality of this video, but I think his foot's come off as well, which is another side effect of poor popping technique. So he's not done like a nice, clean, loaded the bike up, lifted the front, and then pointed the toes to lock the feet in. So the foot's hanging off, his angle is all squint, and he lands, and there's just not much you can do in that situation. So it's amazing how such a tiny little error in popping technique can end up with a big old dismount. So for a feature like that, you would need to work on the kind of smooth transitional, like lofting the front wheel, then the back wheel, so that you're able to do it in a controlled way without bouncing into the air, and it also helps with keeping the feet locked into the pedals. Okay, next one. So now we've got WVMTBER06, Wivemtebers 6, and he is going to do a jump of a specific type. Let's have a watch. He's coming in, he hits the air. Ooh, a little bit of squint. Into the bushes, nice dismount. Aimed for the soft stuff, that's good. That's thinking. Don't land in the rocks, land in the bush. So it's kind of tricky to tell exactly what he did wrong here. Let's come through. I mean, he's pulled up and the front wheel is high. So at this point in the jump, he is kind of in the middle of his like parabola of his trajectory before he lands. And at that point, you really should be close to level. because you want to take off like this, level out in the air, and then land nose first on the landing. But you can see his front wheel is way higher than the back. And that's not necessarily the end of the world, but it's going to make things tricky if you're dead sailoring, because he's got some issues. You can see he's at quite a lean angle. He's also kind of like trying to do a bit of a whip, and to save this you'd want to land front wheel first so you can try and steer out of it. But because he lands back wheel first, what happens is the bike continues to go squint until the front wheel touches down. So by the time he's touched down, he's at an angle that's just, oh, that's gonna be hard to save. And you can see he's already looking off into the bushes. His eyes are locked on. He's like, yes, that is where I want to be if I'm falling over. Locked in, target acquisired, coming in like a bomb. This is a bomb. He's coming in. What would you draw on a bomb? I'll write the word bomb. There we go. Bombing in. Big explosion. And that's why you don't dead sailor. My God. I really did nearly go over in that one. Oh, I mean, at least it wasn't as bad as the washing out episode, yeah? Well, thank you for tuning in, kind viewer. I hope you learned something today, even if it was just that I have a toxic relationship with risk-taking. So remember, nail your technique. Practice on an easily repeatable table. Go too fast and work on absorbing, go too slow and work on popping one wheel at a time. Don't rush it, make progress, and definitely don't murder any boat boys. Sweet Mary, Jesus God. How do you look terrible at a jump? You know how like they say that when you do things on camera it has to be exaggerated. But exaggerate, I'll die.
You just gotta commit.
Okay. Yeah. Does it look really bad?
Bad.
I've got an idea. Can you pedal this in the air?
Nah. You need to be slightly off angle so you can see my position.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Cleared it.